Hey, mess makers. Do we like that name? We're working on it. Before we dive into today's episode, I just wanted to take a moment to personally invite you to join the Messy mailing list. This is where I will be dropping exclusive content, including tools, sneak peeks on what's coming up, and yes, I will be sharing a personal story and part of my journey that I've actually never shared on the podcast. So seriously, you don't want to miss this. Oh, and I want to hear from you guys. So if you have any questions or thoughts, this is your way to get interactive with me and with Inside Out. So make sure you head over to the show notes to sign up, and I'm super excited to get messy with you guys. All right, back to the episode. Welcome to the Inside Out podcast. I'm your host, Jojo, and this is where we will navigate the mess together. That is mental, emotional, and spiritual. Let's get messy. Hi guys, welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Popular demand. We have Rachel Iboro back on the podcast. So Rachel, welcome back. So excited that you're joining me again.
I know, this is so fun. I'm so happy to be back. I think we should make it a thing.
I think we should too, because people are loving how to go beyond the Zodiac and what that really looks like and how to apply that to life. Because some of the main feedback that I got was that people don't talk about astrology this way. And it's a lot of woo-woo and non-applicable things, which we definitely did not do at all. So that was a lot of fun. And we broke down the big three. But this week, I want to get deeper because we're not just our sun, moon, and rising. We have a whole chart. We have the houses. We have Venus, Mercury, Chiron, Saturn, and all of these mean so many things. And I want to dive deeper into those aspects so that people can look at their natal charts, birth chart, natal chart, and interchangeable is my understanding, right?
Yeah, they mean the same thing.
I want you guys to feel more empowered of like really what this means and how you can apply it to your everyday life. And let's dive in. Let's go through all of the planets, their archetypes, their characteristics, and let's start there.
Okay, so just to recap, the rising, which is also the ascendant, it's the way you come off, it's your personality, your vibes, but also the spiritual tool your sign chose to help you do your correction in this world. Your sun, it's your source, it's your light, your sense of identity of what you present to others. Your moon, it's the hidden, it's your intuition, it's your emotions, your inner child, and your relationship with your mom. So the next planet is Mercury. Everyone knows Mercury for its famous retrograde. God, Mercury retrograde, what do we do? Don't do this, don't say this, things are going wrong. But essentially, why are things going wrong with Mercury's in retrograde? Mercury rules communication, all forms of communication, and even the process before communication starts. So that means someone's thoughts, someone's mindset. It's the mind principle. That's the archetype of Mercury. All of the information that our brain receives every single day and what we do with that information. So if you have a Mercury in Cancer, it would be much harder for you to be able to communicate because your emotions always get in the way. And a lot of Mercury in Cancers that I know, when they want to express something, their throat starts to hurt, which is very interesting. Or if you're a Mercury in Libra, nonstop talking all the time about everything that's popular, that's going on, all the gossip. You need to know everything that's happening. You are seeking information constantly and you're attracting it constantly. If you have a Mercury in Capricorn, you don't talk much, and when you do, it's very calculated. Does this person deserve to know what I'm about to say? If I say something, what will I get back? Everything's like a contract, like a business deal with a Mercury in Capricorn. So those are some examples.
I have a question before we move on to the next planet, because you mentioned Mercury goes retrograde. So what about the people that were born with Mercury retrograding?
That's such a good question. I love that. It's actually a gift in disguise. Because it's such a quick planet, it represents an essence of surface level, which Mercury, it will think fast, just go, go, go. But people have Mercury in retrograde in your chart and in your mind, it's making you stop. It's making you process. It's making you go deep. People have Mercury in retrograde. They start off with having an inability to easily communicate, but it's because spiritually their soul needed to really think about their words and think about what needs to be said. So it gives a lot of depth to the person. it's a gift in disguise. You just have to know how to properly find the right structure for how to communicate with others and how to understand your own thoughts.
Beautiful.
Yeah, not many astrologers like Mercury in retrograde, but the school that I went to, they're for it. They love it. They love retrogrades. So next is Venus. People know Venus as the planet of love, but it's so much more than that. It's actually also the planet of money. It's the way that we have money, our relationship with money. Because what is money? It's worth. So Venus also represents our self-worth. What do we find value in? Is it aesthetics? Is it beauty? What kind of beauty? Is it music? Is it food? It's also the planet of obviously romantic connections, planet of love. It could be the planet of affairs. And it's the desires of the heart. It's the pleasures. So Venus is also the planet of pleasure. What brings you pleasure? What brings you, and essentially what brings life to you? And like we said last time, it's the planet of confusion. So we can get into it later when we talk about the houses, like how Venus shows up in your chart and what that does for someone. And if someone were to have a Venus in Aries, the way they love and the way they want to be loved is everything needs to be kind of about me. Like, how are you in this relationship for me? What are you doing for me? And the way that they will love is they will give you a lot of affection and they will give you a lot of energy, and they will also have a natural way and a natural gift of how to make you feel so admired. They will give you a lot of admiration. A Venus in Sagittarius, I wouldn't say they're so loyal. They definitely attract a lot of suitors, and they love to have relationships that are all about fun. Adventure. Where are we going? Is our date going to be hopping on a plane to another country tonight? Are we going to go to a crazy bar concert? Like, everything has to be always fun and exciting with a Venus in Sagittarius. And what's another interesting one? Maybe a Venus in Virgo, which is actually a hard Venus to have, because Virgos, it's very hard for them to understand the idea of unconditional love. So the way that they love is through logic and structure. Like, you did this for me, so I'll do that for you. You didn't open the door for me, so I'm not going to. It's all about a service. Like, what kind of act of service did you provide for me? And how can I show you I care by providing that same service back to you or more? They're not more affectionate, but they're more of, I'll clean your room and I'll cook this for you and I'll go to the grocery store and I'll buy everything you need, but and maybe I'll give you a pat on the back, but that's the most I'll be able to do right now.
So let's say someone does have their Venus in Virgo. Is there a way to overcome that, like, shadow side of it? Because if someone has that and it's like, well, I want to be more spontaneous, like my Venus in Sag, like, is there a way to transcend even your chart?
Yes. So that answer would be by looking at that person's chart. And the opposite of Virgo is Pisces. So in the chart, we would look to where Pisces is and what's there, what house it rules, and how we can activate the energy of Pisces slowly in the day-to-day life of the Virgo, specifically for Venus and Virgo, because that's what they need, slowly, day by day. And it would be more of a conversation for their habits, the way they grew up, what their relationships are with people. It gets more psychoanalytical, typically, for remedies of helping someone with their chart and their placements. And specifically for that sign, for every sign, it would be a completely different process.
Astrology blows my mind the more and more I learn about it. It's crazy.
It blows my mind too. Every day I'm learning something new where I'm just like, I have to pause and catch my breath.
Wow.
Yeah. So the next planet is Mars. Mars is such a interesting planet. It has so much to it. It's the planet of impulse, instincts, anger, confrontation. It's also the energy of the person and the battery of the chart. It shows, I wouldn't say so much of the vitality, but more of the motivation and drive that someone has. And also you can see someone's health based off their Mars, which is very interesting. And if you have a Mars in Pisces or Cancer, I wouldn't say Scorpio, like I wouldn't say all the water sign Mars, but Pisces and Cancer, to do actions, it's much harder. It's more of fear-based. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I'm scared. What will happen? And the desire kind of gets drowned by fears. But Mars and Scorpio, completely different. They become obsessive. This is my goal. I will not stop at anything until it's done. They have a crazy drive compared to the other water signs in Mars placement. Mars in Leo, also very similar, but it's more of an ego sense, and everything that they do, they need to have an applause. I did this. This was my goal. I achieved it. Where's my applause? That's what drives them. That's how they go. Mars in
Gemini.
Mars in Gemini. We can do Mars in Gemini. So Mars in Gemini is constantly doing 100 different things at once and kind of a scattered energy, but at the same time, it also looks like it's very put together. Because that's how the Mars in Gemini goes. It's all over the place, all at once. Like they are the kings and queens of multitasking. They somehow know how to do it. They'll be having a conversation with you while cooking something for their family, while ordering something online, while making sure that the A, B, C, and D gets done. They're just all over the place, and somehow you're like, how'd you do that? It's kind of unreal. So that's Mars and Gemini is a great, but they can just scatter their energy a little bit too much.
It's so cool how if you have like a scattered energy in the chart, there's the opposite, as you mentioned, that you can overcome, because that's how you evolve. And I didn't even know that was a possibility that you could, I mean, of course you have free will and you can change at any point, but the fact that there are tips and tricks and ways and tools that you can actually do this, again, mind blown.
Yeah. And also, like I said, Mars is a planet of confrontation and anger. So also the Mars in these placements, the way that they would react to anger and confronting someone, like again, the water ones, the water signs, specifically Pisces and Cancer, they're not going to have a confrontation with you. They're going to cry about it. And they're probably like, just dream or daydream about what they would say to you, but never actually do it. Mars and Scorpio will be planning the revenge. They will even the score with you very quickly in a way that you won't even know that they did it. They're going to be so sneaky about it. But like we said, like a Mars and Leo, they will come up to you in your face. How can you do this to me? Don't you know who I am? Get very angry. So yeah, that's also an example of Mars and like the confrontation and the anger. It's the anger levels of the chart and of the person also. And it also shows us, okay, if it's a Mars in Libra or a Mars in Cancer and Pisces, are they releasing their anger? Are they even aware when the anger is in their body? Do they have a healthy, because it's actually healthy to be angry and they don't realize that. They think it's bad. So it helps them, it helps also find the remedy for that. Next is Jupiter. Jupiter is one of my favorite planets. If used correctly, it is the planet of, like we said last time, luck, miracles, blessings, expansion, also adventure, fun, travel. It's also the planet of the seeker, the explorer, and the teacher. This planet holds a lot of wisdom, and it tells you, like, whatever your Jupiter is in, how is the best way for you to expand in life and grow. So if your Jupiter is in Gemini, constantly through reading, through learning, through communicating with people and talking to them, this is how you will gain insight and wisdom in your life. If your Jupiter is in Aries, through a lot of leadership, leader roles, through taking risks, you will learn so much about yourself through physical action. A lot of physical action. That's how some people really need to learn. If your Jupiter is in Libra, maybe it could be learning about either two sides, either like a judicial system, a system of liberation and justice in some type of way, or through a sense of beauty, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's learning the balance of interpersonal relationships. So that's Jupiter. And Jupiter and Saturn and the rest of the planets, they aren't so personal for us in our day-to-day lives, like how our Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are. Those are our personal planets and they do affect us on a day-to-day. But Jupiter, Saturn, a little bit out, are more of the outer. And then Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are even more, and those are considered more generational planets. I'll still cover them, but they're more of where you look for them in the chart rather than describing a person through that planet. So Saturn, it's a planet you don't want to mess with. Saturn is here to teach you all your lessons in life and from your past life too. So it's things that you can't even control in this life sometimes because you have no control over what you did in your past life. And it's like boom, 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 boom. This is from what you did back then. Learn. And you're like, oh, okay, thanks. But it is actually also a big way to say thank you because it's how you will really, like I said, learn life's biggest lessons. And the sign that it is under will teach you how. Because Saturn it's all about restriction. It's all about limitations, boundaries. Where do you need boundaries? How do you need boundaries? So if your Saturn is in Taurus, it's boundaries and limitations around money, physical possessions. If it's your Saturn in Cancer, boundaries with family, a lot of them. You will go through a lot with family. It's a lot of learning about how to balance your ego-driven pride. It's a lot of restriction there. Limitations around being impulsive. If you have a Saturn in Aries and you find yourself constantly being impulsive, you will learn very quickly how karma will come for you. Because Saturn is a planet of karma. It's the karmic master. So it's a little scary. So once you know where your Saturn is, what position it's in, and with the planets, and then your chart, okay, I won't steer clear of it, but I'm also not going to jump into it. I'm going to learn how this can benefit me, because once you are good with your Saturn, you're on good terms, Saturn benefits you very well. Like for example, where Saturn is in my chart, it's in the house of travel. And almost every time I would go away on long trips, bad things would happen. And I was wondering like, why? Then I saw it in my chart. I'm like, oh, okay, what does this mean for me? And how can I overcome it? And thank God now when I travel, it's easy sailing, but it can give you a lot of answers.
So it's not just your Saturn is in Libra. It's where in Libra, in what house, and how that really applies next to everything else in your chart and how it all is together.
Yeah, and for all the planets also as well. For every planet that we spoke about, we also need to see where it is in your chart, in which house. Is it next to another planet? Is it aspecting another one? It's creates such a story, and you said it perfectly. It's like the unique blend. You put it all together and you understand. The next planet is Uranus. It's a very interesting planet. It's all about revolution, rebellion, and innovation. So it's all about breaking the old structures and creating new ones. Actually, if you look at the charts of countries and you see where Uranus is in their chart, that's where you see like, oh, that's where revolution was in that country.
Wait a second. Can you explain what you mean by a country's chart?
You can look at a chart for everything, for a country, for a business, for
a business?
Yes. This is what people do. Business people have astrologers, and when you want to open your business, you give them the specific. Why do you think the iPhone drops at a certain time of the year, at a certain day? They plan it. They have astrologers on their team. The Barbie movie, they have astrologers on their team, but why do you think it was so successful? They can tell you, this is a whole different conversation, but they can tell you the best date and time to release something because it's the birth. So you look at the birth time of whatever your idea would be, your business. You look at the birth chart of a country. There are a lot of countries who were formed like maybe 1,000 years ago, 2,000, or a few hundred years ago, not even. So you can see like when, and you do the chart for that country and you can see so much.
Oh my gosh. You know, it's
I wish
crazy.
you guys can see Jojo's face right now.
I'm glad you can't because I just like bug-eyed. But I've also heard that like people, I didn't really give it too much thought, but that people use astrology for even like days that they get married.
Yes. Yep.
And what? No, this is beyond me. This is so freaking cool. Okay. You were saying
it's
about
really
Uranus.
Cool. Yeah. Yes. So
sorry
it's
to
the planet of yeah, so it's where old structures get broken and new ones get created. It's all about breaking free from constraints. It's sudden changes. It's outbursts. That's what you get when you think of like a revolution, radical change. That's what it is. And it also represents individualism, which we'll get into when we go over the houses and where it can be placed. So next is Neptune. It's also one of my favorite planets. It's the planet of mysticality, spirituality, intuition, fairy tales, imagination, transcendence. It's a very mysterious planet. It rules your dreams. It represents the ocean of consciousness, but there's no boundaries in this planet. Like everything gets blurry. It also stands for the planet of addictions. So when we see some heavy Neptune energy in a chart, see like we ask the person, do you have addiction? And it could be addictions to not just drugs, to relationship. People get addicted to people. They get addicted to money, to work, to a certain mindset, an essence of addiction. And you can see it in the chart.
So where is addiction? Where does that typically show up in the chart? Like what area?
It would be through one of the houses, a few of them actually, and through Neptune and any connection a planet has to Neptune, or deep Pisces placements or Scorpio placements. And like I said, for Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, the sign that the planet is in doesn't matter that much. The house placement matters much more, and the connections to other planets. So the next planet is Pluto. And like Saturn, Pluto is here. And it's here to either mess you up or bring you to transform to the best version of yourself. Pluto represents going through hell. It's literally the hell archetype. But if you make constant changes in your life, if you're looking for change to transform, Pluto will benefit you and you will gain a lot of power. Pluto also is a planet of power, but it's also the shadow. It's the deep, inner, deepest, darkest parts of yourself that all need to emerge and come out, and you need to deal and face and change. It's basically the underworld. That's why it's also considered the hell archetype, and it allows us to be reborn in this lifetime multiple times. It teaches us and it forces us to confront our deepest, darkest parts. Something has to die, something has to end to start a new cycle, and that's what we're essentially here to do as humans on this earth. Constantly having a renewal, we're shedding, we're growing, we're evolving, and it's very intense. It's a very, very intense planet. It's the smallest planet in the solar system. Sometimes for one point it wasn't even considered a planet, but it has so much power. And where your Pluto is, which we'll get into in the next episode, right? Where it is in your house, is in your charts, that's where you can gain the most power. So it's really cool. And then the next, it's not really a planet. These next three that we'll talk about, they're more of comets or certain constellations. The first one is called Chiron. It's between Saturn and Uranus. And Chiron represents the wounded healer in us. And it's also our wound from our past life. And it will show up in this life a lot. And again, it's also something that is dependent on where it is in your chart, rather than the sign that it is in does have a relevance, but we look at the house first and the aspects. It can show you where you need the most healing in this life and how you can become a healer through that placement. It paints a beautiful story in your chart of essentially bringing together why you're here, in my opinion. For me personally, my Chiron in my chart explains so much to me and why I have the struggles I've had, and it gives me the motivation to overcome them daily. So we can also get into that. And then the next two go hand in hand with each other. It's called the North and the South Node. It matters what sign it's in, it matters where it is in your house. Everything connected to these nodes matters so much, because the South Node represents who you were in your past life and what kind of past life you lived, your most recent one. And your North Node represents your correction in this life and what you have to become, the corrected version of the sign it's in. So for example, if someone has their South Node, which is their past life, in Scorpio, then their North Node, which is their correction, would be in Taurus. So what that means, you also have to look at the big picture and what's that person's sun sign and how are they acting. So your South Node in Scorpio, you will be having a lot of these characteristics in your day-to-day life without even knowing. And you have to let go of them, overcome them, and become the corrected version of Taurus attributes. And get this is where it gets really cool. What if you came back as a Scorpio and your past life was in Scorpio? Like, what kind of intensity does that bring to the chart? What does it say about that person and their soul? It paints even another layer. And then we learn that when someone comes back as the same sign, it's because you were you can't see my fingers, but I'm putting them very close together, this close to finishing your correction, and something happened and you couldn't do it. So in this life, everything is like a sense of urgency. Even to go to the grocery store and buy milk, it's like, oh my God, like everything's just like crazy for you, because your soul is telling you were almost there, you were almost done. Get on it, get with it, do it. And it's bringing this crazy drive. And I know so many people who came back as the same sign and they go crazy every day. And they don't understand why until they learn about their past life and their correction, their North and South nodes. world. So that's one example. And that's one of the coolest things that I've learned from astrology about the North and the South Node and the whole process with it.
Wow. I don't have any other words. It's honestly a blueprint. It's a blueprint of your soul. It's a blueprint of why you're here. It's a way to deepen self-awareness and understanding. And gosh, we're so much more than, we're so much more than I'm just a Libra. Like, there's so much of what that actually means. And I mean, you're opening up my eyes in ways that I didn't even realize was possible. So thank you so much for sharing all of that and educating all of us on this. And I do have a question about planetary retrogrades. I know I asked specifically about Mercury, but we just went through Venus retrograde. I don't know if a Saturn necessarily goes through a retrograde or whatever, but I know there's such things as Saturn returns. And can you talk a little bit about what those are and what those have to do with us in our charts?
So by the way, every single planet, even the Chiron goes, and the South and North nodes go through a retrograde. And the ones that matter in our day-to-day life are, obviously besides the sun and moon and rising, they don't go through retrogrades. So Mercury, Venus, and Mars, I would say those are the most important to be aware of when they are going into retrograde, because that's how it affects us. Like when Mars is going in retrograde, you better keep your mouth shut. Try not to get into any conversations with people. Really twist your tongue 7 times before you speak, because you will see you're going to be getting triggered a lot more during that time frame. When Venus is in retrograde, it does bring a certain alignment with ex relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's boyfriend or girlfriends, like re-immersing back into your life at some point. But it's a lot of the time to probably end a cycle or to see if it needs to be refurbished in some way. It just brings a personal insight in that moment.
What a great way to put it. Refurbish this relationship. Doesn't need to end. It doesn't need to break. We need to refurbish it. We need to examine it and make some adjustments.
Yeah. So I wouldn't typically say like it's a time to put your life on pause and to avoid everyone or to whatever. Just be a little extra careful. Really take second guess things in those times. But then you also mentioned Saturn return. There's a few returns that actually really, really matter. Whenever Mars is returning in your chart, which is about once a year, that's when a lot of built up, pent up energy and anger and problems come to the surface and things feel intense for people. I can look at someone's chart and I can see around what time of the year the Mars will be making a return, and I can say watch out in these months, because you might feel really stressed. A Mars return is something to look at in where it is in your chart and how often it's making that and what time of the year. Jupiter return happens once every 12 years. And when this happens, it's a very good year for people because, like you said, Jupiter's the year of blessings, goals, fun, adventure. But it's also, I forgot to mention, it's the planet of chaos and drama. So with fun, you gotta be careful because it can get a little chaotic. And typically, anyone that I've asked, I ask a lot of time people, how is your 24th year? Because that's one of your second Jupiter returns. And everyone is always like, that was the best year for me. That's the year I got married, or it's the year I had this happen, or this promotion, or whatever. People always have a significance of their 24th year, because that's when Jupiter's like, hello, let me just sprinkle some light for you, and let's see what happens from it. So every 12 years, take account what's happening right now. How can I access even more abundance with this return? Your Saturn return, the infamous Saturn return, can either be amazing or detrimental. And it happens once every 29 years. Sometimes it enters for people a little bit earlier, and sometimes it can last for people a little bit later. It's typically supposed to be a year and a half. And for some people, I know some people where their Saturn return lasts for 3 years. Because what if your Saturn is in return and it goes into retrograde? That means it's staying there longer. So it's basically the time of your life where you are correcting all your karmic mistakes that are from past life, not even from this life. It's completely from your past life. And it can be the year or year and a half to 3 years of immense changes it can either be a lot of stress or a lot of tranquility. For some people, they have amazing Saturn years. And for some, because it's karma, it's either good or bad. And you can't really tell. It doesn't really tell you how it's going to play out. And for some people, it really shapes them. They go through it. But it always, like I said, Saturn always benefits you. So no matter what you went through in your Saturn year, it was for the greater good, for your own greater good and for your own growth.
Do you need an astrologer to figure out when your Saturn or when these returns are happening? Or their calculators? Like, how do you... Okay.
I mean, you could, of course, with the apps and whatever, they can tell you, but the astrologer can let you know and can really give you the practical tools of how to be careful, how to be aware, and how to overcome it, and how to use it to its best advantage. You know, astrology and going to an astrologer, it's also like going to a doctor. Different doctors have different opinions, even though they all studied the same curriculum. So that's probably also what that person felt in the moment, what they saw. Typically, what I know, Saturn return starts around, when you're 29, or it can start a little bit earlier because it starts when the Saturn returns back into that same sign. So just now, Saturn finished its Roman Pisces, right? So if you have Saturn in Pisces, whenever that started, it started to make its early impact. And then when you hit 29, that's when it was like, boom, now I'm fully here. And then as it's ending, it's like trickling out and it's making its finishing touches and going.
So I guess that wraps up what those other planets and comets mean, whether they're more personal or more on the outskirts of our charts and what those really mean. I did promise last week that we were going to dissect someone's big three. So someone commented, their sun is in Capricorn, their rising is Cancer, and their moon is in Taurus.
Ooh. Nice combo. Okay, so earth and water complement each other very, very well. It's one of the best combinations. So starting with the rising Cancer, I would first off ask this person what their relationship is or was with their mom. Their mom probably is a huge influence in their life, whether it's a good way, whether it's a bad way. Like their mom's energy is very prominent and has a huge effect. Very sensitive to their environment. The second they walk into a room, they have to feel out the vibe, see what's going on. This person, the way that they make friends is very picky. They're not just like everywhere I go making friends. No, if you're my friend, we've been friends for years and years and years, and I really build these relationships with you and these foundations with you. And Cancer rising also, everything is it's very hard for them to make moves in life because they're constantly thinking, but what if this happens? But what if that happens? But I don't know how I'll feel about that. I don't know how that will affect. Like everything's constantly putting a pause, like wait, because there's a drive of fear in the shadow. But very sweet, very friendly, very loving, can be also very shy and intimidating at first, actually, because they're so kind of in their shell and they don't know how to approach people, especially if they don't feel comfortable immediately in the room. So that's more of the rising. The sun sign, Capricorn, it's a very structured sign, all about logic, all about systems, ABC, 1, 2, 3. How can I make money? Everything is always about like, how can I make money from this? Like, how can I benefit from this? Also in relationships and friendships, like, where am I benefiting? If this person's not benefiting me, I'm sorry, but I gotta go. And I'll cut it off and I won't care because I come first. Capricorn is an earth sign that really puts themselves first and really values self-love. And the moon in Taurus, it's actually a very beautiful moon placement to have. It's favored by astrology. And moon in Taurus, with the combo of the rising and the sun, this person knows how to give people comfort because they know how they need comfort and how important it is for them. So they feel, I need to make sure people always feel comfortable. This is my need in life. This is what I want to do. Whether it's the way they do their business, the way that they treat the people they love. Are you comfortable? Do you need something? Do you want a snack? Do you want to lay down? Can I give you a massage? This person loves physical touch. They love to be hugging and always just giving you a pat and just making you know that you feel their presence. You really feel it. Feel a lot of warmth from them, which makes them not such a typical Capricorn because Capricorns are not really touchy-feely lovey. But that moon in Taurus, it's giving that Venus energy. And with the moon, it's like I want to give you warmth. I want to give you love. Let's go get a meal together. Let's go do this. Let's go to a spa. Let's go get our nails done. Let's take care. But also when it comes to problems, I'd say this person runs away from their problems. What do you mean there's a problem? Nothing's really going on. No, everything's fine. What do you mean? That's what they say to themselves. Everything is fine. There's no such thing as a problem. Just it'll go away on its own. I'm hungry. Let's go. Like, it's more of a the only problem here is that I'm hungry. It's running away from problems, especially with the rising Cancer. For them to come up to someone and say, you did this to me and I don't like that, it's no, it won't happen. Unless they are very healthy and they know how to express, they'll find a way to deal with it. But Capricorns in general and Moon and Taurus with the Cancer rising, everything stays inside. They don't want to show people that they're weak and that they can cry and that they feel hurt by something. But I would say this person's also very, very sensitive. Very. And it feels like a very beautiful energy. So yeah, whoever this is, I hope that gave you some insight about yourself and the unique combination that your sun, moon, and rising does for you.
Yeah. All right. So before I let Rachel go, don't worry, you guys. Next week, we will get into the houses and what all of the houses mean and give some examples of planetary placements. And we're going to break it down even a little bit more. But just so this episode isn't 16 hours long, I'm going to let Rachel go, but before I do that, let's apply this to the mess. Mental, emotional, and spiritual. So mentally, how do you see planetary placements influencing people's mindsets?
In so many ways. I mean, again, you take the combination of what all their planets are, essentially the personal ones, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and you see where they're at, how they act in a reactive way, what their drive is, where they're going to go, how they'll make their next step. And like if it's a combination of earth or all water, all fire, it's like, wow, like it's a stuck energy. How can we break out of it? How can we change the mindset to have more? It really helps understand, like I said last time, the person's psyche. What's going on? Are they an overthinker? Are they running away from all their problems? Are they finding an escape for everything? And it shows, without even looking at the houses, what these personal planets are.
Okay, emotionally, what planetary placements impact your emotional life?
I would say the moon for sure, and Venus. Venus is a very sensitive planet.
So knowing where that is in your chart and what that represents.
Even what the sign is, but I would say more so the moon of all of them. It's such a strong presence of the emotional stability of the person.
And spiritually, are there certain parts of someone's natal chart that will highlight what their spiritual path is or their lesson?
Yeah, for sure. Their Jupiter, their Saturn, and their Pluto, where it is in the chart, it can say so much. I would say for also the north and south nodes and getting into it. But if you want to know about spirituality, Jupiter. Where is Jupiter? If you want to know about the lessons, where in the chart is Saturn and how this person can transform, Pluto. And you look at that, you make that combination and you write the story of your soul and you're like, wow, this is what I need to do.
That's beautiful. Wow. All right. Well, thank you so much for going inside out this week and getting messy. And you guys know where to find Rachel. She's at Imuna Astrology on Instagram. All of this is in the show notes again. And we're super excited to have you back next week to break down the houses.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Yay.
It gets crazy with the houses.
I cannot wait to dive into that conversation. That is going to be so illuminating and just applicable to every single person. And I feel like we're all going to walk away with like a master's in astrology. This is unbelievable. But until then, you guys know where to find me at _InsideOut.podcast. Make sure you share this with a friend and you guys comment because you might be the lucky person who gets a chart reading or gets their signs broken down, or who knows, you guys might get a nice little offer. So stay tuned because Rachel is going to open up her calendar for more slots coming up here, which is super exciting. And you guys can go get a personal reading done. But we will have that all on the next episode of Inside Out. And until then, have a great week. Bye.
Bye.